All right, all right. Everybody wants to know, should I buy a virtual accounting firm or should I buy a brick and mortar accounting firm? Because everybody loves the idea of being able to be across the country and still running your firm. Nobody likes the idea of feeling trapped and tied to a brick and mortar. Let's talk about the pros and cons. And as a thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing on this video, here's a picture of a really cute bunny working hard on all those cleanup projects in QuickBooks. All right, let's talk about virtual firms first. I get it. We're all in love with the idea of being across the world and still the business is running without you and you can be anywhere. I'm not saying that doesn't sound amazing, that doesn't sound awesome, but there are a lot of issues that you're going to run into, especially when we're looking at on-market deals that are listed with brokers. You've heard me talk about building rapport and building trust and how vital that is to the not only getting the deal, but also being able to have that owner stick around post-acquisition as you're running the firm afterwards. That is very hard to do. If anything, it's impossible to do when you have a virtual firm running through a broker who's going to keep you separated and keep it very transactionalized. I mean, think about it, guys. How good of a deal can you get on Amazon right now? The market is what the market is. You're just not going to be able to get a really good deal. And some of you out there might be saying,
"Oh, CJ, I don't care about the price. I'll pay a premium if it's fully virtual."
well, that's fine. But here's a stat that's about to slap you in the face. 40% of clients are going to drop off in your first 12 months after buying a virtual firm. This is data that I have gathered behind the scenes from people who have bought virtual firms before. And I can tell you why it is. It's a couple of things. Number one, again, it's very transactionalized. Number two, it's a piranha fest. There's so many people trying to bid on these virtual firms. If you don't give them all their terms, you're not going to be considered. One of those terms, in my opinion, that's very vital to a deal and to the ongoing success of a firm is a seller financing note. They're not going to want to accept it. They want all their money on day one. And you know what? If there's a line of people wanting their firm, they can probably ask for that. That's just supply and demand. But I'm not going to buy a firm if I can't get a seller note because I need skin in the game from that seller. I need to know that they're going to be around afterwards. And this is how you get to a 40% client drop-off rate. If you give them all their money on day one, you never build rapport and a real relationship with them, inevitably, the clients are going to call that firm owner and they're going to say,
"Hey, you sold? You retired?" "Yep, well, what do you know about this new kid?"
and you know what they're going to say?
"Look, I got all my money. You can stay, you can leave, find somebody else. It doesn't really matter to me."
That's how you end up with such a massive drop off. You do not have their blessing because you didn't earn their blessing. This is the problem with virtual accounting firms. I'm okay paying 60% of revenue, but the problem is these sellers are not going to accept that. And I get it. I get why they wouldn't accept it. I'm just not going to go and bet my life savings on a virtual firm where I know 40% of the clients are going to drop off in year one. So let's talk about brick and mortar. What are some of these things that we can alleviate, these risks that we can mitigate from the virtual firms to the brick and mortar firms? First of all, don't think about these brick and mortar firms like you got to be there 5 days a week. One of the things the sellers will ask is, are you going to be here every week? Yes, the answer is you need to be there every week, but you don't have to be there every day. Can you be there 2 times a week? Can you be there maybe 3 times a week? You don't have to be there 5 days a week. That is one of the questions they will ask you. And there are a few more, by the way. If you want to know the top 5 questions that they're going to ask you, click on this video here. But besides that, there's an opportunity to have a real human to human interaction. You get on the phone first, you go meet them for lunch or for a coffee. You start learning about their personal story. They start learning about your personal story. Now you're getting a real relationship, a real rapport building going on between you. Also, you're going to be able to get a seller note. It's very standard and very commonplace to get a seller note when we're dealing with these brick and mortars. 20%, 30%, 50%. My last deal, I got 70% seller financing in that deal. How did I do that? I was able to meet with the seller a couple of times, had a great couple of lunches, learned their story, they learned mine. It was great. That's the only way you're going to be able to get a good deal. On top of that, their blessing. And this is where all the gold is. When somebody calls them and they say, hey, you retired. What's up with this new kid? Are they good? They're not good. What do you think? They're going to say, oh yeah, first of all, I'm sticking around because we got to have them stick around. By the way, that's a very important piece of the acquisition puzzle. We have to have the owners stick around post-close to ensure that the clients stick around. If you want to learn 7 deal breakers that I would tell you run the other way, if this accounting firm has any of these things, comment 7 down below and I'll send you that free PDF flowchart. It's in a yes/no format. Just follow the flowchart and it'll get you right to the perfect firm, or it'll tell you to run the other way. Back to my point here. So inevitably, the clients are going to call and they're going to say, you're retiring. First of all, I am still going to be around somewhat. But second of all, this kid's a good kid. They know what they're doing. Don't go anywhere. Stick around. That is how you can maintain above a 95% client retention rate. This right here is the rapport and the trust and all of that paying dividends to you. You are buying a book of business. We're not buying chairs. We're not buying desks. That's not why we're in this. We are in this for the book of business, the clients. You have to do everything possible to make sure you protect that client base. And that owner's blessing is everything. You cannot get that when there is this virtual, long distance, non-existent relationship going on. And here's another benefit of buying a brick and mortar. All that virtualizing of the firm, that's your profit. That's your opportunity to maximize the value of the firm. And it's not as hard as you might think. The last firm that I bought, I caught them printing out everything on paper. And I taught them, yes, I taught them how to print to PDF. Do you realize how much paper I saved? They looked at me like I was Steve Jobs or something. By the way, if you're interested in learning how I bought that $775,000 accounting firm for no money out of my own pocket, I have a full case study down in the description below. Click the link. You're going to get a ton of information, what to look for, what not to look for, all of that good stuff. So virtualizing that firm is going to be your profit. That's going to end up in your pocket. And then maybe over a couple tax seasons, maybe over 2-3 tax seasons, you're going to be able to have this fully virtual firm now that you can have a piranha fest of buyers fighting over, and you can charge this massive premium for the firm should you decide to sell it. And now you get to benefit from all of that. Nobody else. So don't view these brick and mortar firms as super undesirable. This is where the real opportunity is. This is where you can fatten up your pocketbook. And look, you do this once, you add another firm, you add another firm, you add another firm, and you virtualize 5 firms. Oh my goodness, you're going to have private equity banging on your door trying to buy this thing from you for a ridiculous multiple at that point. So who won the battle here? The conclusion is I prefer brick and mortar, and I prefer something with a maximum radius of about 2 hours from your house. You get the trust, you get favorable deal terms, you get the deal structure you want, and you get the blessing of the firm owner to the clients, which is everything. Then you slowly virtualize it. So listen, if you're interested in buying a firm, there's a link below. You can book a call with me. Let's talk about it. I have an awesome community that you can come join. A lot of other people in our industry buying their first, second, some of them even their third firms at this point. And remember, it's a cruel world, but we're better together. We'll see you later.